Hi everyone, and we were going to talk about one of very interesting topic about inflation today, and that is for the Tuesday's class. And today that you need to watch this video and submit your in-class exercise, and you were going to get the 20 points. So it's about 24 slides, and they talk about actually the very important concept of inflection. Okay, so today's objectives is we're going to talk about the definition and concept of inflection, and we were going to discuss about the dollars, which is the constant or then current dollars, and we will look at the price indexes and also cash flow that change at the different rates. Okay. Inflation is the overall increase in prices and the resulting decrease in the value of money. Okay, especially for the industry, they are improved, and then that everyone try to earn some money, and then the price of the products started to increase, and they that have several issues dealing with the inflation. So let's look at why does inflation happen? Why? Okay. First is money supply. More money in the system will dilute its effectiveness through law of supply and demand. So that means if the bank print more money, of course they will increase the inflation of the products, right? And second is exchange rates. Prices change to reflect the comparative value of the currencies in different countries. So you know the inflation also will be dealing with the currency exchange that such as except the American dollars. Now the most influent dollars will be the Japanese yen and renminbi, and also the British pounds. So those are actually the issues also effects on the inflation. And what else? The other one is the producers raise the prices to cover the costs. So this is we call it the cost push. And then the last one is demand pull, when consumers bid up prices by attempting to buy more than is available. So these are actually the major four reasons why the inflation happened. So first one is the government's policies, and the second is international relationship about currency exchange, and the third one is about domestically what is the price it is, and the last one is the behavior of the consumers. So several types of rates related to the effects of inflation has been defined. The first one, we call it the F, inflation rate, is the annual rate of increasing the dollars required to purchase the same amount of goods and services. And second is the real interest rate, is the interest rate for a loan or investment measured in real dollar. What's the meaning real dollar is the exclusive effect of inflation. Okay. And last one is the market interest rate, I. And this one is the rate one can obtain in the market combined with the real interest and inflation. So the equation is like that. The market interest rate will be equal to the real interest rate and plus the inflation rate and plus the real interest rate times the inflation rate. So this is a so-called market interest rate. So for instance, bank pays 5.5% interest rate compounded annually. Inflation is expected at 2%, Identify market interest rate, inflation, real interest rate. So market interest rate, that means come from the bank. So that will be 5.5, right? Inflation is 2%. So that's 2%. But real interest rates, that is equals to, by the equations, it will be equals to 3.4%. Okay, so that means the real interest rate will be a modified of the market interest rate minus the inflation rates and divided by 1 plus the inflation rate. So that's the real interest rate, 3.4. In the FE exam handbook, and you will find out a definition like that. Inflation, count to the inflation, the dollars is deflected by the general inflation rate per interest period F. And then they will shift over the time scale using the interest rate per interest period I. Using interest rate, adjust the interest rate per interest period D for computing present worth value P. So that the formula of D is D equal to I plus F plus I times F. So when inflation is present, we need to define two kinds of the dollars. One is called actual dollars. Actual dollars is the cash money, circulating money. Real dollars is the dollars with the constant purchasing power. So the key words here is that the purchasing power, okay, and always expressed as the base year. Okay, for instance, 2011 base dollars, also called constant dollars, constant purchasing power dollars, or inflation-free dollars. So when we use in the market interest rate I, and then we are dealing with the actual dollars, so that means cash money. And when we use the real interest rates, and we're dealing with the real dollars. So what's the meaning for that? So for the business in banking, most of them, they use the actual dollars. So they didn't consider about time value of money. Time value of money. But when we're dealing with the real interest rate, and then we deal with the physical years, or we call it the base years. For instance, a donor gave CPU $1.2 million in 1960. We invested it at 8%, but the inflation averaged 6% over that period. What is the value of in the year of 2015? So find out the market rate, inflation rate, real rate, actual money, and real money. So now we know that from the market rate is 8%, inflation rate is 6%. So the real interest rate actually is 1.887%. So you need to be aware here. Critical thinking. Is it possible the market interest rate is less than the inflation rate? So in what is that case? Okay, and you can find it out, and we will discuss this when I came back, and I will give you bonus point when you raise these equations and give us answers. So actual dollars, which is equal to the year of 2015, will be equals to the actual dollars of year 1960 from the present to the future at the interest rate of 8% and 55. So that means 55 years, right? So it's like we want to understand the future value of the money, right? So if you calculate that, and you will figure it out, it's 82.7 million dollars. Okay, so that means 1.2 million. Now it's 82.7 million dollars, and that is actual dollars now on the market. Okay, so we use the equations, very simple, and you can understand that. And then the real dollars translate actual dollars of the year 2015 to the real 1961 dollars in years 2015. So the real 1916 dollars in year 2015, and that we can use the future value to the present value, right? And then we know that that's the inflation rate. So it's about 6%, and the period is 55 years. So we calculate that, and actually we convert it in the inflation. Actually, the value is only $3.36 million. Okay, and the other way to calculate is the real money of 1916 in 2015. We can use the present value to the future, and we use the real dollars calculation, and you will figure it out. It's a 55 years period, and you find out the same answers. So what is this rate? And then this is the real interest rate, the real interest rate. And that is the rate actually we used to calculate before. We call it rate. Actually now you know the rate has a function of inflation and the money market from a banker's interest rate. Now we're going to do the analysis in constant or then current dollars. So when we consider inflation, we need to designate any cash flow as being in terms of actual dollars or real dollars. The real dollars cash flow are computed using real interest rate. Actual dollars cash flow are computing use market interest rate. As we have done in this semester, we use that actually as a market interest rate for a lot of cases, but the real, I think is good, right? It's more the reality, shows the reality. So don't mix two of them, okay? The other concept is called price index, and we use to track the inflation over the time. So most of the government, they have the organization to investigate the price index, okay? And then because this will be effects on the consumers' behaviors, if the price increase too fast, and that will be a big problem, right? So the price index is a ratio of the cost of one or more goods, service to the cost at an earlier time. So you know that actually this one is selected by a definition, okay? And the price index describes relative price fluctuation of goods and services. And the price index are tracked by specific commodities or for bundles, composites or of commodities, okay? And regularly they are not counts the price like the fresh food such as milk, fruits, and those kind of price change a lot. And we use the past price change to predict the future price. And all the price index has a base year which is assigned a value of 100. So, and then you can see the change, price change by the postage. This is the statistics, right? So let's make up a, they call it fictitious price index called later cost index, LCI. LCI describes relative price fluctuation of sending first-class letters in the United States. The base years is equal to, for instance, 1960, and LCI is 1960. We call it 100. And we can calculate the LCI of the year of 1980s. So we can use the ratio to calculate. Okay, so we put down the cost index for each one, and then we can understand what exactly the purchasing power, or we call it the prices of the products at that time, by the ratios. Cost index is often used to calculate year-to-year percentage increase of prices tracking by an index. Annually percentage increase. So we use the index, the delta of the index divided by the past index and times 100. So annual percentage increase from the year 1960 to 1980s, and we can use like this kind of calculations, right? And then we can figure out the annual percentage increase is equal to 150. Okay, so to calculate average of increase over the 10 years, and then we can use the equations. Future value is equal to the present value and times the compounding rate. And then you can find out that the rate is equal to, the average rate is equal to 9.6%. And we can use the cost index to calculate the average rate increase over a period of years, which provide insights of the price may behave in the future. So you need to be aware of this, and they use the exponential terms 1 over 10s, right? For the average. It's not divided, but use the exponential terms. So this you should be know that. For instance, we can ask, how about the average of the price for the house increase over the last 10 years? And then you can find out the price of the house actually about 10 years ago and the price of now, and then the denominator you use the price of now, and this is the price of recently, and then use the exponential of 1/10. Okay, and then you will find out exactly the average increase of the price of the house per year. Okay, this is another examples. Okay, so in the United States, the Bureau of Labor Statistics publish the CPI each month. So you see they do have the federal officials, they are doing the statistics, and that will be monitoring exactly the status of the price on the market. And you can check from the website. So they have a lot of calculations related to the CPI, and then by different definitions. And this is one example. And we can see the major United States CPI has been increased at a near constant rate. So we try to make the CPIs that increase actually a near constant rate, okay? And then everyone can adjust or adapt the quality of your life. Okay, so for the FE exam again, and the other term, so-called rate of return. So there's a definition for MARR. What's the meaning of MARR? Is the minimum accept rate of return, and that is the rate that everyone willing to accept, or the rate one desire to learn in investments. The rate of return are invest in the interest rate that makes the benefit and cost equal. Okay, so it's like a minimum accept rate of return. So that is over the rate you lose money, and if this rate is lower than that, you borrow from a bank, and maybe you're going to gain some money. So let's look at some examples. Okay, this is a examples. We call it the rate of return in interest, and then we try to figure out that exactly cancel out the benefit of cash flow or not. So let's look at this case and say we're going to buy a machine, and it will cost you about $5,000, and we'll earn about us $1,222 every year, okay, for 5 years. So we can build up a cash flow like this, and then we can calculate the interest rate. And what is the interest rate it is? So that is so-called 8% is minimum accept rate of return. Okay, so rate of return is a good way to judge a different investment, right? And rate of return should be higher than the cost to borrow money. Okay, so if the cost you 10% to borrow money and rate of return is only 5%, and then why bother, right? So rate of return is a common measurement of the benefit some causes of the action is. Okay, so now the rest of time, and you need to work on the in-class exercise, and this is one example I give to you, and the hint is that to get the average percentage increase, and then use to estimate the future cost. And then when you finish this exercise, and please print it out as a PDF file and upload on the Blackboard before the end of this class. Okay, I hope. And if you can't, and please upload later. Okay, and then the class adjourned. And see you on next Thursday.